What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we diving into the update to the state of play when it comes to MTG Arena. Yesterday, they kind of teased an announcement, and today they actually released what that announcement was. One, it's talking about a little bit more about Streets of Caperna, which is coming out pre-release this weekend and then releasing digitally on MTG Arena, I think alongside the paper Magic. The other thing to note here in this announcement, there's some new updates to kind of the quality of life functions and things like that in the store, as well as the new format that is going to be tied to paper, which is definitely very good, and it's definitely a non-rotating format, which is always beneficial and kind of will help players who play digital only Magic kind of get in line with what is happening kind of in the competitive scene when it comes to MTG Arena or MTG as a whole. So first and foremost, with every new set, we always get a new gist of mechanics that kind of come along with the sets that happen in MTG Arena, and we kind of talk about the various things when it comes to Capenna, new Capenna, when it comes to what things will happen with cards, what functions, what mechanics, if there's any returning mechanics or if there's any brand new mechanics. We get a breakdown of kind of how they work, and we'll go over that first, and I'll have everything listed in chapters if you want to skip ahead maybe to look at other announcements and maybe don't want to hear about the mechanics until you kind of want to read the cards yourself, and that's perfectly fine. But the first thing up is mechanics. So the first one up is Hideaway. It's an older mechanic that but new to MTG Arena. Hideaways will use the browser like window and like other abilities that will have you look at or search cards for in your library. The card you pick will be exiled and appear tucked away under the card's triggered ability. So definitely an interesting kind of ability. This is the first time I'm hearing about Hideaway, but definitely a cool little mechanic, and kind of how it's like in this little window here, how it's hidden away from a view from your opponent. So definitely cool in that sense, and they're kind of showing you how it will look like on screen, which is definitely pretty cool. The next up is Threshold counters, and Threshold is another interesting ability. I believe this is also a new ability that it'll get a badge, make it easier to keep track of the cards that care about other cards. For example, if you were a sewer crocodile who wants to know if there are 5 or more mana values among cards in your graveyard, you'll probably not need to. You'll kind of have this little trigger here on the card itself. It's this little 5 here, so that'll let you know there's 5 colors among other cards in your graveyard. Definitely pretty cool as well. Definitely kind of interested. Now I'm just kind of like looking at this. The deck examples they're using here, it's some sort of deck that is actually more of an extended format of sets. It's not actually using standard cards unless Thassa's Oracle has been reprinted. But other than that, it's definitely a pretty cool little mechanic here with the Threshold ability, in case you were wondering if you were able to cast certain things a little bit cheaper. Next thing up is that they're actually also showing it for Devotion. So if you have Devotion of things, and Devotion yet again is an older ability, but if you have the Devotion of 5 with Thassa's Deep Dwelling, you'll show that you'll have the Devotion of 5 without having to figure it out and being like, okay, I have to count my mana symbols, add them up, and be like, am I actually there? Definitely pretty cool. So definitely some pretty awesome quality of life things. Definitely makes it a little bit easier as a player to kind of understand what's happening on the game board without actually having to, dig into your own math and figure out how close you are to something. So definitely pretty awesome. The other thing that they're actually doing is they're actually doing some auto tap interactions. Another thing we want to call it is how auto tap interacts with treasure tokens. As a rule, auto tap will sacrifice treasure tokens for mana to play ability costs if there's an added benefit in doing so. They give an example of Paragon of Modernity's activated ability. If sacrificing a treasure token will make exactly 3 colors of mana that were spent, gets a +1/+1 counter. Definitely pretty cool there. I think this also ties into that 2-drop, the red and black card. It gets an additional +1/+1 counter for each treasure spent to cast that card. So definitely pretty cool that they're kind of looking at how Auto Tapper, figures out what mana you want to use when it comes to tapping mana for particular creatures. Definitely pretty awesome. And then as always, if you don't want to, sacrifice your treasure tokens or don't like how Auto Tappers tap in for the things, you can always manually tap by clicking on the land cards or treasure tokens and then doing it how you want to do it when it comes to casting the cards. And then other than that, that's kind of like the gist of everything. I guess the rest of the mechanics that come along with Streets of New Capenna before we move on to the next thing are more so things that the cards will kind of tell you what they're doing. But I guess these mechanics are just kind of here just so that you understand, these certain abilities about, looking at mana costs amongst cards in your graveyard and or Devotion. So definitely pretty cool that they pointed those out. And I'll probably do a preview as we get closer to the release on MTG Arena about some of the cards and some of the mechanics when it comes to the new set as well. But I just figured, this article kind of just has a little bit of a glimpse of what's to come. So the next thing up is they're going to be introducing some more ways to purchase packs, which is definitely very awesome. I think this is definitely a great quality of life thing that I guess they finally decide to get around and do. So it looks like with the Streets of New Capenna, they're expanding the ways you can purchase store packs. In addition to using gems, as you've been able to in the past, you'll be able to use gold to purchase both Streets of Capenna store packs as well as Mythic booster packs, which is definitely pretty cool. And then the other thing they're doing here, they're also making it so that you can purchase them in bulk rather than having to individually purchase, single packs with gold. It looks like you can now combo your gold and then purchase, your packs, however much gold you have. So you can do the 1, the 3, the 6, the 15, the 45, the 90. And then kind of the same thing here. You can do the 1 mythic booster for 1,300, or you do the 10 of them for 13,000 gold, which is definitely pretty cool. And then I guess they're also supposedly rolling this out to, all sets soon. So I guess on release of Streets of Capenna in Arena, we'll have this way here. And then over time, we'll get the rest of the sets as well. Hopefully, maybe they go back and they do the mythic boosters for the other sets, which I think is definitely beneficial for people who are trying to collect cards. Though I do understand that there's still some people pushing back on mythic boosters just because it's called a mythic booster and then you do get rare wild cards in that booster, which is definitely very confusing from what it's called. But I do think that's just a thing that they have to kind of clarify when upon purchasing that pack in a more clear way, if that's what people are getting confused about. But I know it's kind of like stated somewhere, I think maybe in the small fine print, what you actually have a chance of getting in that particular pack. And then, of course, there's more Streets of New Capenna cards and mechanics. There's always ways to play. We have sealed, draft, jump in, and packets, including the first 3 color packets. One for each family. You'll have everything you expect from standard set release, and the same newer options like mythic boosters available for purchase in the store. And then definitely some interesting things there. Like I said, just adding these little quality of life features definitely always beneficial to the player. I mean, it doesn't really help, the economy issues when it comes to the game, but just these little things I think will make it a little bit easier. Now, on to the next thing. They're actually introducing a new format. It's called Explorer. It is tied to Pioneer, but because, we don't have all the cards that Pioneer that is legal in Pioneer, for now the format is called Explorer, but it ties to what the legal, all the banned and restricted cards currently in Pioneer. So that's definitely an interesting thing. Explorer is constructed, non-rotating, true to tabletop format using all the Pioneer legal cards available in MTG Arena. And then they have a little link here if you want to find more information on Pioneer, which I'll leave down in the description below for this article, plus this little, clip it here if you want to just go directly there if you want to learn a bit more about Pioneer. This set will feature the same constructed queues and events available for standard, so definitely pretty awesome as well. It'll also be given the same ban list as Pioneer, but we may need to manage it separately. More on that below. And that's just because, when you have certain card pools and there's less cards overall, it's one of those things that you can't have the same bans because some cards may be more overpowered. Looking at you, Winota, that's kind of a card that I think a lot of people are going to be on the fence for, as Winota is a very strong card, especially in, I think, Pioneer currently with the way it is. But definitely one of those cards that's probably going to be a day 1 ban, probably in a way, just because it's just too much power and people will probably more so play a deck that plays that card. And then it looks like it'll be available for MTG deck building with the game update available today, April 21st. So supposedly it's already in the game. I haven't actually dove into the client yet, but I could have swore that this isn't legal until next week, but I could be wrong. And then they go over into a whole thing about, going into the paving a path to Pioneer. So definitely pretty cool there. For those you have played in what was written midweek Magic events, you're already familiar with what Explorer is, a non-rotating constructed format using all the tabletop format Pioneer legal cards available to MTG Arena. Consider this is the first leg out of the Pioneer journey, where one day Explorer will be retired as a format and we'll simply call it Pioneer. Hopefully in not too long, but I could see this taking a little while just because it takes time to develop the cards and implement them in game. It may be a couple years until we're probably lined up essentially in that regard. Explorer will be available in best of 1 and best of 3, both ranked and unranked. So definitely cool. If this is a format that you want to play, you can definitely do with that. The other benefit here, this is not tied to Alchemy. So any cards that have been changed in historic and or standard with Alchemy, this is how the cards are written. So there's none of that, which is definitely pretty awesome as well. If that sounds the same as everything available for standard constructed play, because it is, we will plan to support Explorer in the same capacity, which means also Explorer ranked matches will contribute to your constructed rank, which will earn you play in points. In the Evergreen Explorer constructed events, Explorer will also be featured in our upcoming tournaments, so you will have an already checked the Premier Play announcements. Definitely pretty awesome. And the play-in points are just things that kind of target if you want to play in competitive Magic and try to qualify for the Pro Tour and stuff. This is kind of like that way of how we're doing it. Yet again, maybe something I'll dive into another video if you guys want to see stuff about the competitive side of Magic and how you can do it within Arena. If you're not someone who plays physical Magic, there's definitely avenues to do that. And then they kind of touch on here, there's a little bit more about the Pioneer legal sets, intended limited multiplayer formats that are available to construct to play, yada yada yada. There's some stuff there. And then they also talk about the ban list. Now into the ban list, we plan to adhere to the Pioneer ban list. There may be at times where card becomes problematic in Explorer because the current differences in card pools. If this happens, we will not rebalance or suspend the cards. We'll just straight up ban it. So definitely cool there. Like I said, not doing the alchemy thing here. We're just going to straight up ban the card. And rebalancing and suspending cards is a tool that we use for digital first formats like Historic and Alchemy. Explorer is meant to mirror the tabletop formats, so definitely a cool little thing here that, like, hey, we understand you want a format that we kind of adhere to how you would in physical form. Definitely pretty awesome, but definitely pretty sweet there as well. And then the Premier Play on MTG Arena is kind of that little thing I was touching on here. In case you missed it earlier, today we announced that it plans to refresh the competitive play on MTG Arena with now both new events and revamped reward structure. While there are plenty of things that are announcement to be excited about, one of the biggest changes is we want to highlight was the addition of qualifier play-in events. So these are those events that you will that will allow you to get into those qualifier play for the Pro Tour. It looks to be kind of expensive in a sense, 4,000 gems, which I think equates to probably like $30 money, real money, or you can use 20,000 gold, which is definitely pretty awesome. You could go straightly free to play and just save up to get into one of these events. So definitely awesome that there's an option there. So definitely pretty sweet, and it looks like you get a bunch of gems for this. It doesn't really show you what gems at each level, but I guess you get maybe a portion of what you paid, and then probably somewhere around 4 to 5 wins is where you break even, and then at 6 wins you kind of get your token to get into the next event that you qualified for, and then from there you kind of go in from there. And it looks like you keep playing until you lose 2 matches, so definitely a little bit different because I think it's 3 matches the other way, but I could be wrong. I know with limited it's 3 matches, I believe, so definitely pretty awesome. And then this will happen 3 times a year in Arena, and you can go and try to get the 200,000 prize pool. Definitely pretty awesome. And then they actually have the link to the article in full, so definitely good there. And now we kind of go into the event structure reward updates and the launch of the Street to Competitive. They're going to do some adjustments to the event rewards, namely evergreen constructed events and traditional draft events. So constructed reward updates, just kind of they talk about the differences here. So the best of one example is Alchemy event. The entry fee is 2,500 gold or 375 gems. So it looks like the events may be costing a little bit more. Event length is 7 wins or 3 losses. 0 wins, you get 25 gems. 1 win, 50 gems. 2 wins, 75 gems in a pack. 3 wins, 200 gems in a pack. I'm just kind of looking out here. So it's definitely interesting here. Now I'm kind of looking at it. It does look like the break-even point is probably somewhere around the 4 to 5 wins here. I would say it's probably on the 5, just because that puts you slightly above what you paid in gems to get into the event, and you get 2 packs as well. 4 wins is definitely not that bad. That bad. And then they kind of show the difference between this and best of 3. Best of 3 is double the price. Essentially, event length is 5 matches. 0 wins is that, and it looks like you can get your money back at 4 wins. So both of them are about towards the tail end of where you would get. And the other thing too here is if you get to the 7 wins, you get the play-in points, which I guess helps you qualify for the other events. So definitely interesting here, and I don't think this is limited to just best of 1 and best of 3 alchemy. I think this is actually a thing for all constructed based on what I'm reading, because for alchemy events, packs will be the latest alchemy set. For historic events, there'll be packs from the rotated out sets, and for standard events, packs will be the latest standard set. So definitely cool there. And then on top of it, they actually are updating, it looks like, traditional drafts. It looks like the entry fee goes to 10,000 gold or 1,500 gems, which is unchanged. Event length is 3 matches, which is also unchanged. It looks like 0 wins is 100 gems in a pack. It previously was 0 gems in a pack. 1 win is 250, and a pack, and it was 0 gems in a pack, which is actually kind of weird, right? You either win 1-2-0-2-1 game and you don't get anything other than a pack. But now it looks like you get some gems out of it. 2 wins is kind of like that break-even point in a way, just because you get to draft and you get, the cards plus the 3 additional packs. But it looks like they actually toned it down, because before it was 1,000 gems in 4 packs. It looks like now it's 1,000 gems in 3 packs. I don't really know. So in a weird way, it's a little bit of a nerf, if you want to call it that, because you get less rewards. And 3 wins was 2,500 gems, 6 packs, and 2 in play-in points. Previously was 2,000 gems and 6 packs. So the gems is toned down a little bit. It just looks like, because it's only 3 matches, it looks like they just kind of spread out the rewards instead of doing it all at the top end for the most part. So definitely interesting kind of there. Then we can get in some quality of life improvements, dazzling decks, and implementing the ability to assign cosmetics per deck. We've improved the deck details page to make it easier to see the breakdown of card information without having to scroll. In addition, they made the Gilded Glamour of New Capenna. You'll find some of your previously available avatars now look available for purchase in the store for those looking for those old school kind of vibe. Definitely pretty awesome getting some old school avatars if that's your thing and you spend the money there. And then count to 10, say goodbye to the boring days where you could only open 10 packs in increments of 1 or 10. Starting with New Capenna, this is definitely a major win, I think, here. You'll be able to open all your packs, and no matter waiting for them to open 1 by 1 or waiting for the perfect 10. So definitely pretty awesome addition there. Just if you don't want to open up your 4 packs you may have won from a draft, you just click open all. It opens all 4 at once, and you move on to the next thing. You don't have to sit there and just go through the individually 1 by 1. And then vault progress, definitely interesting. Speaking of that, numbers that fall between your current vault percentage will not always be viewable. Don't know why this was hidden to begin with, but they're not making it viewable. You'll find your current progress alongside your wildcard counts. Definitely awesome. I think it's just in the upper right-hand corner to the right of, the lotus that represents, your wild card. So definitely pretty awesome. And then to kind of close it out, it's just, a little opportunity to talk about, the release of the set. The dazzling set will be next Thursday, the 28th. The initial lookout is on Tuesday, where your favorite content creators and streamers pick sides and fight against the early access event. As always, follow Twitter, blah, 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 blah. So essentially, this does sound like a very good update to the game overall. We see a lot of things that, I think definitely, are things that people have been looking for. I think the constructed update is definitely very awesome. I guess we're going to get rid of the older constructed, though, which is unfortunate because it was a very cheap, little event you could do if you wanted to do it that way. But it's definitely pretty awesome that if you want to do events now, it feels like they mean something. So definitely cool there. Talk about the Premier Play and the Play-In events. Explorer event, and that's the new edition of Explorer, is yet again another pretty awesome step, I think, in MTG Arena, just because people are claiming for more tabletop-like experiences in MTG Arena that they can get physically. So having, Pioneer be available eventually at some point in its full entirety in Arena will definitely be pretty awesome. And just kind of note there with the Pioneer stuff is going to be one of those things in how they implement it. Are they going to do just like full sets of like Modern Horizons type thing, but Pioneer in a way, and just kind of implement cards that way? Are they going to do anthologies where they just do clusters of cards that they're added into the Pioneer, and you kind of buy in that bundle and get them that way? I guess the time will tell there, but to say that this is where we're going for the Eternal format that is tabletop-like is definitely pretty awesome. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What maybe things stuck out to you being your favorite. If there was anything in particular that you didn't see here that you want to see more of, or maybe something that you think they still need to work on. Let me know in the comments below. With that being said, if you liked the video, hit that like button. It definitely helps out a lot. If you're new here, you want to know I post new videos on the channel, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next video.